Welcome. If you haven't watched the video that I posted before this one, I would recommend watching that first. But if you've watched that, let's see how quickly we can do this IXL program. Down here in the bottom right corner, I have put both the vertex or transformational form information, and as needed, I will move up and show the general form information to find the things we want. And that's the first thing you want to do. You want to look at the expression you're given and say, do I have the transformational form or do I have the general form? This one happens to be the general form. So I'm going to go down to here, and it's asking for find the Y-intercept. Well, the Y-intercept is the C value, and don't get confused. This is ax squared plus bx plus c, where c is 0. So it's just 0. Here, again, this is, I like to think of this one as just the general form. It's just x squared. It says find the equation of the axis of symmetry. We could also say it's the transformational form, because what am I adding or subtracting to the x value? 0. So the equation for the axis of symmetry is x equals 0, because it goes right through the Y-intercept. Here we have the general form again, so I slide up here to the general form, and I go, okay, it's asking for the equation of the axis of symmetry. Now this one's going to be a little bit harder. The axis of symmetry is this minus b over 2a. So again, my b value is -2, so I do a -2 over, I want to show you what I'm doing here. So I'm doing this -2 over 2a. 2 times 1, because a is 1, and by the way, let's not forget to change the sign. It's a negative b over 2a. b itself was negative, the negatives cancel, the 2's cancel, and I get a 1. So the equation for the axis of symmetry is x equals 1. Here, again, we could consider this to either be the transformational form or the general form, but it says find the Y-intercept. I like to think of the general form on this one, because the Y-intercept is just the C value. We got ax squared plus 0x, or 1x squared plus 0x plus 8. So the Y-intercept is 8. Find a minimum value. Again, the minimum value, now we got to be careful here. We got to make sure that we're on the line or axis of symmetry, because the minimum value, well, isn't always the C value if it's in general form, but it is the K value if it's in vertex form, which we could consider this vertex form. It's x minus 0 in parentheses squared. And so this really is the minimum or maximum value. Since it's opened upward, because x squared is positive, it's the minimum value. Again, here, find the vertex of the parabola. This is just the parent function, which just opens right at 0, 0, going upwards. But again, we could think of both the this one here. I'm not adding or subtracting anything to the x, so my line of symmetry is at x equals 0. Plug in a 0, or my k value is also 0. My vertex is 0, 0. And here's a little bit different one. Find the vertex of this one. Again, I'm going to go down to the general form. So the first thing I'm going to do is find my axis of symmetry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a negative b. Now my b value is 1. So I'm going to do -1 over 2 times 1, 2 times 1, or I get, okay, so my b value is 1. I changed its sign. I did it over 2 times 1 because the a value is 1. I get -1/2. So my vertex will have a x value of -1/2, because that's where the line of symmetry goes through. Now, to find the y value for that vertex, I actually have to plug it in. So again, what I do is I take the -1/2 that I found for my axis of symmetry, or my x value. I'm going to square it plus -1/2 minus 3. So what I've done is I've just plugged it in to the equation. -1/2 squared is going to be 1/4 plus a -1/2 minus 3. Well, -1/2 plus 1/4 will be -1/4 minus 3 more. It's -3 3/4. But if you'll notice, it says improper fractions. So that's going to be, wait, -3 3/4, -3 1/4. Let's not be careful. And so 3 times 4 is 12. 12 times 1, or 12 plus 1 is 13. So it's a -13/4. Okay, here we got general form. It's asking for the minimum value. So again, the minimum value is going to be my vertex, the y value for my vertex. So I need to do the minus b over 2a to find the x value. So the first thing I'm going to do is, since this is it's the ax squared plus bx plus c, where b is a negative 2. I'm going to do a negative 2 over 2a. A is 1. 2a, I'm going to 2a is 1. Change the sign, right? Because a negative negative is positive, and we get a positive 1. So my axis of symmetry will be 1. I'm going to plug in a 1 to find the minimum value. 1 squared is 1. Minus 2 times 1 is 1. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. The minimum value is negative 1. Find the minimum value, same thing here, except I believe the axis of symmetry isn't going to be 1 this time, because my b value that's in front of the x is 1. So I do a negative 1 because I change its sign, and then I do over 2 times 1, which is 2. So negative 1/2 is my axis of symmetry. I'm going to plug that back into the equation now. So negative 1/2 squared, right, plus negative 1/2. Well, negative 1/2 squared is 1/4, plus a negative 1/2 will be negative 1/4. So my minimum value is negative 1/4. Find the equation of the axis of symmetry. Again, we're in general form. So the axis of symmetry, I'm going to maybe just do it right here. I'm going to do a negative b. So my b is 2. So I'm going to do negative 2 over 2 times a. 2 times a. A is negative 5. 2 times negative 5. Well, that's going to be a negative 10. And so I have negative 2 over negative 10, or I get 1/5. 1/5 is my axis of symmetry, and it wants the equation, so x equals 1/5. Here, find the y-intercept. Oh, I love this one. The y-intercept is when I plug a 0 in for x, 0, 0, my y-intercept is always the c value. And right over here, if it's in general form, y-intercept is always the c value. It's 2. Find the vertex. Again, the vertex, I like this one. I like to think of this as in the transformational form where I'm minusing 0 from x before I square it. So in other words, the vertex has an axis of symmetry at 0, and its y value for that is negative 33/4. And that is the vertex. Here, find the y-intercept. Y-intercept is 0. Plug in a 0, you get 0. Find the vertex. Again, I love it when they're just a single term. The vertex, again, plug in a 0, get a 0, because the reason I can know it's 0, 0 is because my b value is 0. So my line of symmetry is the y-axis. There's no b term, there's no middle term or single x term, then the line of symmetry is always the y-axis, as long as it's written in general form. See, now here there's a b term, so the line of symmetry is not the y-axis, and the minimum value will not be when you plug in 0. Don't think you always plug in 0 to find the minimum value. I need to find, first of all, I need to find my line of symmetry, so I can find my x value for my vertex. So I got to do a negative b, so that's going to be negative 3 over 2 times a. Well, 2 times 15/2 is just 15, so my axis of symmetry is a negative 3 over 15. But now the minimum value is when I'm going to plug that back in to the original equation. So again, that's going to be a little bit harder because I have 15/2 times a negative 3 over 15 squared plus 3 times negative 3 over 15. Well, what I like about this is the 15s will cancel once. Be careful because it's squared. If you have to, square it, but I realize it cancels once, and I'm going to have a 15 times a 2. So I'm going to have a 30 on bottom, and then I'm going to have a 3 squared or a 9 on top, and then I'm going to have a plus a negative. 3 times 3 is negative 9 over 30. Not 30, 15. But I am going to get a common denominator by multiplying by 2, so that's going to be a negative 18 over 30. And so now I have 9 minus 18, both have a denominator of 30, and I get negative 9 over 30, but that actually reduces to a negative 3/15. So my minimum value is a negative 3/15. And it just takes practice. You just got to do it. Woo! Negative 3/10. I messed up somewhere. Oh, I messed up right at the very end. Divide 30 by 3. It's not 15, it's 10. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 30 divided by 3 is 10 tenths. Got it. Okay, find the equation of the axis of symmetry. Again, I like this one because the axis of symmetry, there's no b value. The axis of symmetry is 0. Here, find the vertex. Okay, I got to do my minus b over 2a. Minus b, that's minus 7 over 2a. A is a negative 1, so 2a would be a negative 2. So that's going to actually be 7 halves. And so my vertex has a 7 halves x value. And then I got to plug that back in to find the y value. So I'm going to do 7 halves that's squared. And then I'm going to make it negative, because remember, don't forget, there's a little negative sitting right out front of the x squared, plus 7 times 7 halves minus 4. So that's 49/4 that's negative, plus 49 halves minus 4. So negative 49/4 plus 98/4 minus 16/4. Well, that's going to be 49/4 minus 16/4, and that's going to be 33/4. 33/4. See if I did my math right. Right, you got it. Okay, find the y-intercept of the parabola. It's in general form. I love the y-intercept in general form. The y-intercept is c. It's negative 2. Find the equation of the axis of symmetry. This is in vertex or transformational form because there's no b term. The axis of symmetry is x equals 0. Find the vertex of the parabola. Okay, this is going to take me a couple minutes maybe. Vertex, I'm going to do a minus b. That's going to be a positive 4 over 2 times a, which is going to be negative 16. That's going to be a negative 1/4. That's my x value. It's b over 2a. Now I got to plug that in. So I have a negative 8 times a negative 1/4 squared minus 4 times negative 1/4 plus 27/4. So that's negative 8 times 1/16 minus plus 1 plus 27/4. That's going to be a negative 1/2 plus 1 plus 27/4. So that's going to be 27/4 plus 1/2, or 2/4, which is 29/4. And that doesn't reduce. 29/4. Let's see if I did my math right. Hey, look at that. Find the y-intercept of the parabola. There's no b term, so the y-intercept is that minus 2. Find the minimum value. Again, that's basically finding the vertex, so I got to do negative b over 2a because it does have a b term. Negative b will be a positive 2 because b is negative 2. Change the sign. Over 2a, a is 2, so 2 times 2 is 4, so 1/2. So now I got to plug in 1/2 to get my actual minimum value. So 2 times 1/2 squared minus 2 times 1/2. Well, that's 2 times 1/4 minus 1. So that's 1/2 minus 1, or negative 1/2. Negative 1/2. And last one, find the vertex. Again, giving you a harder one on these last ones. So I got to do my minus b over 2a. b is negative 3. So a minus b would be positive 3. Over 2 times a is 1 is 2. So it's 3 halves. So I know that my vertex goes to the axis of symmetry, which is 3/2. Plug that back in. I get 3/2 squared minus 3 times 3/2 plus 9. That'd probably put you to sleep. I'm probably pretty monotone. 3/2 squared is 9/4. 3 times 3/2 is a minus 9/2 plus 9. Let's get a common denominator. So we got 9/4 minus 18/4 plus 36/4. So that's going to be, and those two are going to leave me a minus 9/4. 36 minus 9 is 27/4. 27/4. Submit. Look at that, I did it. And I did it in 14 minutes. Way too long. Hopefully it doesn't take you that long. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.